Hello everyone, Marcusthal here, and today I want to share with you the first major development effort I'm going to be doing for Project Navalusu. It is the Nebula tier item, Ethereal Link. This item is so major, in fact, I'm actually going to require your financial assistance in order to successfully achieve it. Henceforth, while I'm announcing the Ethereal Link Kickstarter project will be released sometime this July, preferably after the 25th. Now that I've told you about the Kickstarter, let's go into the game. Ethereal Link is planned to be a VR spellcasting game, whereby you use the titular Ethereal Link to explore your power within the virtual world. The game is set in a universe very much like our own, but whereby a single change changed the outcome of the entire universe's continual structure. That change was a being known as the Creator. This person successfully discovered something known as an ethereal link, and using this, he managed to change the world's very foundations all to his own will. You see, an ethereal link is a connection to a universe or a plane of existence known as the ether. The ether is the universe of ideas, whereby the concepts for anything that can exist exists. Those who harness an ethereal link are capable of manipulating the world's ideas to their whims. They can alter any aspect of the way the world is represented in a corporeal sense. While the process to achieve an ethereal link is complex, there are generally only two things that an ethereal link user must give up in order to attain the said link. The first of these things is their own conscious effort in order to achieve a spell. Once an ethereal link has been established, you have to think about casting the spell and demonstrate that process to the world in some fashion before you can cast a spell. The second sacrifice that an ethereal link user must make is a bit more tangible, per se. An ethereal link user's vessel, or their corporeal being, is completely and utterly tied down to that universe at the time of creation. So in other words, the last sacrifice an ethereal link user makes is their own ability to die by mortal means. One would think a world whereby anyone could obtain such incredible power would be great. But, alas, there are certain things that make this world a little bit less desirable to live in. Well, everyone, enough about this whole vague lore thing. Let's get into the actual gameplay of the game. The idea behind the game is to cast spells in order to achieve a variety of effects. Spells can include the moving and stopping of objects at a distance, otherwise known as telekinesis, the ability to control how hot or cold something is, or pyrotechnics, the ability to manipulate the way the world is or represents itself in a physical fashion, alchemy, or the ability to manipulate the way things appear or light acts, that would be illusion magic. Each and every single one of the techniques I just cited has an incredible amount of depth that can be applied to it, and that allows you to manipulate things in a much more complex fashion the more you understand it. The only way I can think to describe it, really, is to look into the trope functional magic and take that complexity up to 11. There really isn't a limit to what you can control within the VR realm in this case. The only true limitation would be how much you can understand it, and how well you can sequence things. Think of it almost like programming, but for magic. If you'd like to know two of the places where I draw a lot of inspiration from the magic, I suggest looking into the light novel series, Mahoka Koko no Retose, and/or the manga series, Maho Sensei Negima. They are the two biggest places where I draw a lot of inspiration from magic, so I really do suggest looking into them if you'd like to get an idea of where I'm thinking from. A good warning for when the game does come out, however, is to beware of the monkey's paw. Well then, let's continue on to the rest of the subject. At this moment in time, I have 3 planned gameplay types for the game upon its initial release. The first type is known as Strife, which will primarily deal with combat between mages. The second type is known as Outcast. It will primarily deal with gameplay types whereby you try to compete in the act of spellcasting itself. The third type is Witchcraft. In this case, you're trying to use various techniques and understandings of the way magic works to forge new magical items and/or create new spells. Each one of these different modes revolves around a near completely different type of engagement, yet my hope is that I can unify all 3 of them into creating one unified and cohesive experience that you will all get to enjoy together. That just about does it for most of what I want to say today, although I do want to call a little bit of extra attention to a little detail I mentioned earlier. In the game's lore, you are not able to die by natural or mortal means. This also applies to the gameplay. So don't think that you're just going to be able to die all willy-nilly like in a regular game. The act of quote-unquote death is going to be very different in this game and compared to other games of its liking, since in a way, most strife modes will be compared to first-person shooters. I'll be sure to come into more depth on all the little things I mentioned here as update videos get released. After all, I'm not even really scratching the surface of most of the mechanics I've discussed in this video. I'll begin the production for this title as soon as I successfully noted that the Sanctuary Hub's basic functionality has been created and that I can take advantage of said functionality for the title's intended purposes. So then, I'm sure you must be wondering right now, what exactly can I do to help since you are asking for help? Well everyone, this game is a pretty big project for me in all honesty. It's a VR title, which means I'm going to be exploring a genre territory that hasn't been really explored or defined yet, and I'm also going to be making it a full-on multiplayer game as its focus, so that means I'm going to require a lot of online infrastructure, something I cannot offer you right now. Hence, why I want your help in order to get the financial backing I need to make this thing a reality. Being that I'm just a single person, fresh out of high school, living in their parents' house in a room with their brother, with very limited financial resources, I'm pretty sure you can see that I'm going to need a lot of help to obtain the licenses and different equipment I'm going to need to make this game a reality. Hence, why the Kickstarter is being made to help procure the funds. I don't want to launch the Kickstarter just yet, as I'd like to have 3 things done before I do so. The first is to have the basic functionality for the Sanctuary Hub ready and set. The second thing is to have my Oculus Rift and Thalmic Labs Mayo in my hands for demonstration purposes at the very least, before the campaign, and lastly to have some of the campaign's assets ready to go for the demonstrations. Once these conditions have been met, I will be releasing the Kickstarter. For the time being, all I really need for you to do to help me is to spread the word. At the end of my videos from now on, I'll be including a small little card or a little moment at the end, whereby I refer to my Kickstarter project in order to draw a little bit more attention to it. Well everyone, that just about does it for this video. This has been Marcus Dahl, logging out.